As I understand, Mr. Prime Minister is happy to take your questions.
Yes.
Other questions in the audience? As you think about it, maybe I start out. You mentioned at the outset the importance of new media and IT for the spread of information, for transparency, and for the fostering of the democratic movement in your country. We have seen this in other places. We have also seen that by means of information technology, social momenta of a bad kind have developed under the fake news agenda. So the question for you is, how do you want to deal with this as a ruler? There are countries that deal with it in a very restrictive manner. Don't want to mention examples. And this is obviously not the ideal way to balance the technological potential and the transparency with the potential of abuse and bad movements in this sector.
Thank you very much for that question. To be honest, recently we were discussing this topic of fake news with the leaders from worldwide in Davos, and all we accepted that we have no idea what to do with this problem. But for countries like Armenia, with young democracy, I think the protection of right of expression and free speech is more important than to try to protect government from fake news. I would be honest, fake news now is a very big problem for all government of all countries, and for our government and for me personally too, because we have now in Armenian social media a huge amount of fake news about me personally, about my family, about my government, about our political team, about current situation in Armenia. But it would be very wrong temptation for us to try to use our authority to restrict any kind of right of expression in order to prevent our audience from fake news. I think that the better way to do that is the same, education. I think this situation, many people now see what's going on. I'm not sure what part of people understand the importance of problem of fake news. What part of people don't understand? But I think in the process, people will gain ability to differentiate fake news from real news, and I think it should be done like that, through the experience, through the education, through the informational education, through technological education, and of course, I think researchers will think about the technologies that will protect society from fake news without restricting right of expression and free speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy that you say this in this place at the University of Applied Science, because I think we all agree our understanding about the role of research in education or research-based education as such is, of course, that this research leads to new things and maybe discoveries and maybe useful inventions. But as a main asset, research-based education should provide young people with the skill, with the lifelong skill, if possible, to be able by themselves to tell apart the truth from the lie, the more probable from the less probable, by having the methodological approaches to criticize whatever they hear, whatever they learn, by whoever there is or whoever there seems to be. Further questions?
You mentioned also the Davos conference, World Economic Forum, and in the beforehand, the risk report was published, raising issues like you've mentioned, digitization, but also climate change. Now, I'm aware that Armenia is not only a beautiful country, has a rich culture, but also has some impacts of natural hazards especially. Do you see connections of the topic of climate change and also digitization and all the new technologies as an opportunity also to create markets in economy? Thank you.
Yes, of course, because, many people perceive new technologies, technologies as enemies for environment and for protection of environment. But it can be this perception has a part of truth. But on the other side, new technologies allow us to solve the environmental issues. And to be honest, thanks to new technologies, now we are aware about the scale of the issue of climate change and environmental issue, etc. In Armenia, to be honest, we have the huge problem of recycling the garbage, and now we are searching for investment on that field because we need to clean up our country because unfortunately we have no recycling technologies in our country implemented. And the other issue is to increase the demands from the mining sector in our country, because unfortunately our environment was hugely damaged from mining sector, and now we are going to increase and establish very high standards on environment and very high environmental standards on mining sector, and we hope that we will be able to do that with help of technologies. And it's very important not only implement and create and establish standard, but to have control on implementation process, and for that also new technologies would be very useful. Thank you.
I think I can allow one more question because that's what the schedule dictates. Yes, please. Wait for the...
How far spread are Western languages?
Excuse me, could you repeat?
Yes, of course. I assume that until 30 years ago, everybody had to learn Russian as a first foreign language at school. How far spread are Western languages like English in your country?
Actually, we have many schools where children study Russian, English, French, German. In Armenia, we have 200 schools with the German language in the education program. I think that we will have a little more, or no, we have Russian language in all our schools, but we have other languages in all our schools too. I mean, we have 200 schools with German language, maybe more with English, French. We have now some schools with Chinese, with Iranian language, with Georgian language, and it is, you know, it is very important task for New Armenia. I announced that the citizens of contemporary Armenia should know at least 3 foreign languages. And I think it is our strategy to have more and more people with more and more language knowledges. Thank you.
I think we could dream of such a situation here in our country. So I'm very unhappy to cut this short, but due to your schedule, Mr. Prime Minister, we have to finish this session. Let us thank you very warm again for this very illuminating speech and for the nice discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.